Apollo Medskills will lead the healthcare skilling revolution by catering to the lower middle class youth and making them employable. Skilling India is paramount importance, wherein we require 14.2 million healthcare professionals by 2022. Apollo Medskills will be opening 47 skilling centers across the country and will be training 4 lakhs people, make them employable, and 70% of them will be placed. The service mix of Apollo Medskills will have 27 different courses, which will include upskilling courses for doctors and nurses and skilling courses for paramedics and support staff.
Just to give you a context, the government has an overall mission to skill 500 million youth by 2022. That's when India turns 75. And the way this mission has been crafted is that the government, 70% of the target is going to be met through government initiatives, and NSDC was created under the aegis of the Finance Ministry to look at private sector participation. So in the healthcare sector, Apollo Medskills is the first JV. We are privileged to work with and in a marquee name like Apollo. Healthcare, as far as NSDC is concerned, is a key sector along with infrastructure and education. And we think that this JV will go a long way in addressing the challenges of making affordable healthcare available across the country. Some figures: till date, NSDC board has approved 69 training proposals which will skill about 75 million people, and also 18 sector skill councils have been approved. Some more statistics: till date, all NSDC partners have trained about 3,20,000 across the country, and about 241,000 people have got placements, which makes it approximately a 75% hit rate. I'd be happy if Dr. Mr. Chairman would address the gathering.
In the national context, you all know that the nation is facing severe health challenges. We have the NCDs, the diabetic capital of the world, heart capital of the world, cancer capital of the world, and the infections. So we need to improve the healthcare. You need to build more hospitals. We need to build more healthcare facilities. For that, the sad part is we don't have adequate number of health human resources in our country. We need to double our doctors from 0.7 million to 1.5 million. We need to triple our nurses from 0.8 million to 2.5 million. The paramedics were to quadruple from 2.5 million. We must make 10 million paramedics. I think that's a huge opportunity only present in India. The challenge is there, the opportunity is in India, because we have this large number of younger population whom we can gainfully employ and make a significant difference in healthcare delivery for our country. And let me quote Wolfenson, former World Bank president. He once told me, he said, "Dr. Reddy, my generation will get away with some help from her, but next generation will not have adequate health human resources available for our treatment. Only countries like Brazil and India can fill this gap. And India can do 5 times more than any other nation." So I think India can very gainfully use this great effort that has been put by National Skills Development Council, playing a great importance to develop various skills. And we heard that health is gained an equal importance in this. And I'm happy that Apollo, we have been having 11 medical nursing colleges, we have been training around 2,000 paramedics per year, and training about 500-600 super specialists every year. We're going to quadruple and take it tenfold in the near future to, as a responsible citizen, to fill this huge gap that exists in health human resources. I know it's nice that this is one of our efforts to say that the country will cope up, the private healthcare will catch up, to meet the needs of healthcare needs of our country. Huge are our challenges, but I think we have the will, and the government and the private working together will make a very significant impact in touching this most sensitive area of health, human resources development. God bless. I'm sure the efforts that have been put by Apollo and NSTC, the support that we're receiving from them. Hopefully, very soon.
As you all know, that every Founders Day we try to do something significant, and I think among the various things that we've been able to do, today is one of the most significant initiatives, which is to reach out, to skill, to upskill, and to create quality healthcare for people through the appropriate manpower. As you heard, there's a twofold or a two-pronged strategy through the Medskills, which is number one, we will create the trained paramedical force for the country, and we will also train Indians so that a young India can reach out and heal a graying world. So there's a combination, there's a multi-pronged strategy by creating the skills. I want to first thank our partners, of course, NSDC, the joint venture which has been formed, which is the Apollo Medskills, is a combination of the Apollo promoters' equity, NSDC's equity, as well as a soft loan from NSDC. So total combined investment in this entity is in the region of approximately 40 crores. We will be opening a minimum of 40 centers and potentially more. I would also like to thank and welcome on this occasion our other partners, Mr. Suresh, the CEO of Reach Australia, who will be giving content and certification for one of the programs, and Sue Forsman from the Australian Council of Education. Thank you for your partnership. And Mr. Manoj Gopalakrishnan, the MD of Becton Dickinson, for being with us and sharing in the knowledge as well as the genuine partnership in the training in IV and infusion technology, because as you all know, the advancements and the skills that have happened from the time many of the paramedics or the nurses have passed or got their certification, the entire environment has changed. Skill gap and upskilling is a very crucial area, and BND is a valuable partner in that. So with these few words, I'm going to throw this open to the press. I hope this day will be remembered, of course, as a wonderful milestone in the Apollo history as our Founders Day, but also as the day that we began a new outreach, which will not only add skills, create trained manpower, but also help in the social upliftment of the country by enabling and the creation of jobs by giving these skills to people. I hope you did note that number of NSDC's target of 140 million people who would be trained, or jobs which would be generated. More than 10% of that number will come from the healthcare sector. And Apollo Medskills will play a significant role in fulfilling those targets. Thank you very much. The target is to do 40 centers within the next 24 months.
What is the duration, ma'am?
Duration of the course?
Yeah.
Prabhakar, we have a range of courses, so some which are shorter, some which are longer. Many of them have certification, like you've seen with the partners here. We're also looking at the Health Sector Skills Council, which will soon be giving out certifications, and then the number of courses will increase. But if you want to give one or two examples of length of course, Prabhakar?
I think there are two levels. One is the upskilling part, and the second is the skilling part. Let me talk about the skilling part first. We talk about two levels of program. One for the paramedical group, paramedical education. And basically these are all +2 students who come out. Particularly the mid-income and the lower middle income youth we are targeting now. And they will be taking this program for a year and 6 months of internship. And for Tamil Nadu, we have linked up with the Alagappa University for certification. Similarly, we have courses, paramedical, we talk about lab services, radiology, dialysis technology, emergency technology, and theatre technology. All these courses are there for a 1-year program. This is for the paramedical education, because paramedical group is a big need in the country. The second group is what we call the support services group, which we have the patient care assistants, like the bedside assistants group. In fact, the 2 programs which are going to come later is going to be on patient care assistance or patient care assistance. And we are also having programs like a ward administrators program and medical coding. And finally, there's also a program called housekeeper. For housekeeping is very important in a hospital. And we are tying up with British Institute of Cleaning Sciences for that particular program. This is how we are partnering for certification and training with our knowledge partners. And the other upskilling programs are the short-term courses for the nurses, like the hemodynamic monitoring, the wound care management, and in terms of IV therapy, which we are partnering with BND. And as far as Suresh is concerned, we have a program specifically targeted for nurses, which talks about certificate for geriatric care. This is an Australian certification, which will definitely open up opportunities for our nurses. This is how the program which we're talking about.
One additional thing, since all of you are not visiting the center, that I'd like to add as a differentiator in the center will be the extensive use of electronic technology for the teaching and training. These will be standardized modules. Video lectures from the best teachers have been captured, and also the use of simulators. So if you're learning how to give an infusion or an injection, you won't be poking a patient, you won't be poking an orange like you sometimes see in movies, but we bought some of the most expensive and advanced models. These demo models will enable us to use the demo, which is a plasticine model, with the electronic inputs. So the nurse or the person who's being trained, the paramedic, will know if they've got the vein, if they're pushing at the right pace, and this will enhance skills in a painless way that you're not practicing on patients, but will make them more confident and therefore get a better cadre of paramedical people coming into the marketplace. The use of simulators is one of our innovations. We're also looking at the creation of low-cost simulators for the Indian market. This is another thing we're discussing in partnership with NSTC, so that we can share these simulators and the content and widespread the training of paramedics across the multiple schools, nursing schools, etc. So there's a lot to be done in the training and the development field. We intend to use state-of-the-art technology to enable this in the best possible way. Would you like to add anything?
It's a great privilege for BD to really be part of this initiative. BD is a global medical technology company which is into medication delivery, diagnostics, and life sciences. BD actually works with governments across the world. In fact, 2 years back, we started a program in China, working with the government of China on infection control. So we see this program as a similar potential to impact both private and the public sector. So we hope to really see this public-private partnership between Apollo and NSDC impacting infection control practices. We all today read about hospital-acquired infections, which is a key public health concern, and I'm sure that this program will make a tremendous impact on that space. Thank you.
Yes, I'm from Reach for Training. Suresh is the CEO. What we are trying to do is, we want to be part of the Skilling India. I know how important the NSDC and the Apollo Medskills partnership is. So we want to provide the certificate courses in geriatrics and disability services and the community services, home and health community services. That provides extended reach for the Apollo nursing students, particularly either to get the job internally or overseas market. So we are delighted to be part of this association. Thank you.
This scheme, as you know, is a combination of equity as well as soft loan. So approximately it's about 9 crores from the promoters, 3.5 crores from NSTC as equity, and a soft loan of 24 crores, which will be released in a milestone-based fashion. Would you like to add anything, Ranjan, that about capture?
In fact, as I mentioned, there are very few joint ventures which NSDC has taken up, and this is one of them. So that just shows the board's confidence in Apollo as a group and also the importance of healthcare as a sector.
So can you explain the equity portion of it? How much stake will you hold?
So NSDC will have 20% equity stake of Medskills, the balance will be held by Apollo and its associates.
this is just the first step. Once we validated the model, made sure that each of the centers are doing well, we're happy with our ability to transmit knowledge as well as find the right teachers, then we intend to scale this quite rapidly. This is phase 1 of Medskills.
How positive or like how effective you said that like current success ratio is about 70%. Talking about this overall. Remaining the present way, what are the bottlenecks you see? There are some of the partners, if I can quote, like, for example, Lebron, your partner over here.
It is a very complex business and the issues are very diverse. It starts from youngsters not looking at vocational professions as aspirational, all the way the fact that if you look at employment opportunities, a lot of it involves migration. So at times that also becomes a deterrent for people to actually take up the jobs at a distant location. The other piece is that while some people do take up courses and do work for some time, they prefer to go back to the education and do a higher level of certification either within the trade or in the academic field, and that causes. Having said that, I think 75% success rate at the initial stage, in spite of all challenges, is quite remarkable. And the hope is that when you have marquee industry players leading this, for example, Apollo, for example, in retail we have Future Group, and in other such, then the pull factor and the stickiness will be much higher.
Which are the focus areas on the Tier 2, centers which are becoming spread across?
I think the first center, we are talking a metro in Chennai because that's a number 1 pilot. The second center, we have gone to Patna in Bihar. The third one is in the northeast, Shillong. And the fourth is at Hyderabad. So this is how the centers are all spread. In a similar fashion, we'll be talking about 47 centers and we'll be moving on to states like Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and all in the later phase. So phase 1 will have 10-12 centers and then we move forward.
The press release it says is 27%. Can you clarify how many percentage is MSCC holding in the joint venture?
So it is 27%.
Okay, so you'll be paying 3 crores as 3.5 crores for the equity.
For the equity, yes, that's the equity contribution.
And moving forward, will you increase your equity?
No, that's not the intent.
MSDC is paying 500 million. I think you have a target of 500 million people by 2022. Is that right?
So the national target is 500 million.
Yeah, for that, like, what is the total investment from MSDC?
So it's in 2 separate buckets. The government is going to take through the state government and central government initiatives which are going to be primarily grant-based programs. I don't have a figure for it. But we have been committed a corpus, and whatever it is that takes for us to provide seed funding to private sector entrepreneurs to meet that 150 million target, the government is assured that that will be made available to us. The best part in this model is that the money is given out on, it's a returnable capital.